No matter how old you are, we all grew up watching Disney, whether that just be the TV shows or the movies. And most of these were received quite well considering Disney is worth around $190 billion. But most of Disney's recent movies failed so badly that you probably have never heard of them before. But first, let's start with one that we all know about, Pinocchio. No, not the original, the 2022 live-action remake. And with most remakes, they tend to not do as good as the original, but this flopped even harder than anybody expected. With a budget of $150 million, it reportedly made less than $700 grand. Now, this number may not be very accurate as it was first set to release in 2022 in theaters, but due to the pandemic, was released late in 2022 on Disney+, but was available to watch in theaters 1 month before. But even if this number is off by let's say 5 million, that is still a massive flop. But was the movie actually good, or was it just really unfortunate timing? Well, as you can see here for yourself, the ratings are not very good, and it's safe to say it did not meet expectations. But how could a remake of one of the most popular Disney movies do this bad? Well, the film is said to have bad pacing. Most viewers don't feel the same magic that the film used to have. The CGI can be a little bit awkward at times, but mainly the movie misses out on what the original main message was completely. In the end, it's not that surprising that a remake of a movie wouldn't do as good as the original, but this original Disney film failed for an entirely different reason. Turning Red. This movie came out in March of 2022 and had a budget of around $175 million and was actually really received well by critics and viewers alike. But at the box office, it only made $20 million. And you don't need to be Albert Einstein to understand losing over $155 million on a movie is really bad, especially having the power and influence Disney does. So what was the reason for the film failing this badly? To get a better idea about it, let's go over what the movie is about. The movie pretty much explores a young girl's adolescence in what's supposed to be a fun and lovingly awkward way, which seems fine for a movie, right? Well, let's just take a look at this scene.
You sicko! What were you thinking? Why would you draw those things? Those horrible, awful, sexy things!
You're probably thinking the same thing as me. I thought this was supposed to be a Disney movie. Or you're probably thinking maybe that was a little bit weird, but it's not that bad. But let's take a look at another scene.
Is it that? Did the red peony bloom?
No! Maybe?
But it's too soon. I have ibuprofen, vitamin D, a hot water bottle, and pads. Regular, overnight, scented, unscented, thin, ultra thin with wings.
Awesome, just leave them by the sink.
Meme.
Again, I feel like it's a little weird to be talking about these things in what's supposed to be a kid movie, and I'm not alone. Others have said that one of the biggest controversies comes from viewers seeing the movie as too mature or inappropriate. Namely, this comes when May, the main character, first transformed into the red panda, and her mom assumes that she's on her period, though the word is never actually spoken throughout the film. Now, I do think it's important to talk about these things, but maybe not in a Disney movie made for children. But the controversy wasn't the main reason the movie failed so badly. In fact, the main reason is kinda boring and not interesting in the slightest. For some reason, Disney thought it was a good idea to release Turning Red on Disney Plus only 10 days after it was released in theaters. So for those who wanted to watch the film, it just made more sense to not go into the theaters and just stay at home and wait a couple days. So this mixed with the controversy was a recipe bound for failure, but the controversy around Turning Red is nothing compared to what Strange World was about to bring. Now again, as you probably expected, this film also lost money at the box office with a budget of around $180 million, only making about $70 million back. But what was so controversial about the film that made it lose over $100 million? Again, we'll have to talk a little bit about the movie first to get a better understanding. During the film, we follow 3 generations of the legendary Clade family as they attempt to band together and navigate an uncharted, treacherous land beneath their world. But the part that has been bringing up so much controversy on the internet is the youngest of the 3 generations talks about how he's in love with another boy. Now, obviously, I don't have a problem with this, and I think it's fine for a movie, but I can kind of understand that for a Disney movie, much like Turning Red, many people thought that it was a little bit weird to be incorporating in a kids movie. Again, having this be Disney's first openly LGBTQ+ teenage character is fine, but this quote from Fox News Digital sums it up perfectly. In some cases, parents are avoiding content with sexual conversations. Parents are savvier today, and they use social media to get feedback on films from their peers either online or in person. In fact, because of this movie and others bombing at the box office so badly, Disney's formerly retired CEO Bob Iger has come back and expressed how he regretted that the company has tried to become so woke and gotten involved in the culture wars. So now he is attempting to, and I quote, fix the damaged brand. And with this next film, the controversy will continue, but throw in some poor marketing and bad timing, and now you have Lightyear. Now this film was a problem for several reasons, but mainly nobody really asked for it. Disney kind of just expected people to go out to the theaters to see it because it's about Buzz Lightyear. And this is when we get into the marketing issues, but we'll hold off on that for now. And once again, we'll get into the numbers. The production of this film cost over $200 million, which is one of the most expensive animated films ever. But how much did it actually make in the box office? Can I get a drum roll, please? $226.4 million. Oh, so they made money on the film, right? Well, not exactly. You see, the budget doesn't even count for the tens of millions of dollars used for marketing, and the theater companies showing the movies get about half the revenue. So that leaves them with about a loss of $100 million. Lightyear is also officially one of the only movies made by Pixar to lose money. But let's just go back to the $200 million budget and compare it really quickly. Toy Story 3 and 4 both had the exact same budget and both made over $1 billion each. And you probably already know that it was made by Pixar as well. But that's enough statistics for now. Let's get back into the poor marketing and other reasons why the film failed. Let's start with one of the biggest flaws of the film, Buzz Lightyear himself. Well, nothing really wrong with the character, it was the casting choice that made viewers not even bother to give it a watch. Instead of recasting Tim Allen, who was the voice of Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story, they decided to give the role to Chris Evans, who is best known for playing Captain America. This choice really turned off fans of the Toy Story franchise from wanting to see the movie, since this recasting kind of made it feel like it was a different character. But even with this, it couldn't bring back former fans of the series, and the marketing was the final nail in the coffin. Now, when I said the recasting made him feel like a completely different character, well, he kind of is. What I mean by this is Lightyear is actually about the man who the toy is based on. And while trying to promote the movie, it was kind of hard to convey what the story was about, and potential viewers just saw it as too confusing. And again, there was no need for us to learn about the backstory of somebody that a fictional toy was based on. This wasn't the only problem though. Disney decided to release this on Father's Day weekend, which seems like a good time for a movie, right? Well, they weren't ready for some of the most popular movies of 2022 to be released right beside it. These films included Jurassic World Dominion and Top Gun Maverick, which had already been out for 4 weeks but doing extremely well, and actually almost made more money on its 4th weekend than Lightyear's opening weekend. But now let's get back to the controversial part of the movie. There are accusations from LGBTQ employees and allies at Pixar who claim that Disney executives censored overtly gay affection in its films. This reportedly included Lightyear, which allegedly cut and later restored a same-sex kiss. And again, as you can probably expect, the trolls had a field day with this, even though the scene should 100% be in the movie. Especially compared to the other films I talked about that were directed at little kids, Lightyear is made for a more mature audience who don't care about these things. So even with Lightyear being tied for the 3rd largest budget of an animated movie, it still failed harder than anybody ever expected. But for our last film, let's go back to another bad live-action remake of one of my personal favorite Disney movies, Mulan. This Mulan was released in 2020, and with a budget of $200 million, only made $70 million at the box office. And just like Pinocchio, the ratings aren't the best. And who would have guessed there's more controversy to talk about surrounding this film. So this movie was actually made for the Chinese market, and all it really did was just spit in the face of Chinese culture, even though the film had been in production for around 5 years. It failed in the Chinese market due to the stereotype and misunderstanding of the traditional Chinese culture, makeup, costumes, and scenarios, and characteristics, which ultimately caused the movie to fail. That wasn't the only controversy surrounding this film. Almost as soon as the film arrived on Disney+, social media users noticed that 9 minutes into the film's 10-minute end credits, the Mulan filmmakers had thanked 8 government entities in, I'm sorry, I'm probably going to butcher this, Xinjiang, the region in China where Uyghur Muslims have been detained in mass internment camps. And you can probably piece together why this is not a good thing. And with all of Disney's recent movies failing really badly, it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back from this. Obviously, it's not like they'll become bankrupt, so money-wise, they're doing just fine, but it seems like they are losing more customers due to all this controversy. But what do you guys think will happen? And comment below any movies I didn't cover for a possible part 2. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a great rest of your day. Peace out.